Let's try that again. Hi, everybody. Hope y'all are doing well. Excited to be here. Excited to have y'all join me for the last Global Hack Week stream that I'm doing, which is hacking the perfect resume. So for this stream, we're going to be doing a couple of things. Number one, we're going to be going through some good versus bad resume examples, talking through what I like about them, what I don't like about them. We'll probably spend the first 40-ish minutes doing that. Then we'll take a quick break, and after that, we'll go ahead and focus on crafting a good, you know what, actually, scrap that. I think what we'll do is, let me first catch you up all on Eleanor, who is our fake persona who we made up for Global Hack Week personal portfolios. So let me share my screen, and y'all can see who I'm talking about here. And kind of the things that we're planning. So let me close out of this real quick, and then close out of this, and then open up this guy, and open up that. Get myself settled and situated. I just came from another meeting. It's been a long day. It's my second Global Hack Week stream, but nonetheless excited to be here. Let's pop into our window here, and there we go. So for context, for my 2 parts of Global Hack Week, wrong button. For 2 parts of Global Hack Week, I made a personal website for Eleanor Swift, who is a fake little persona, who's a second-year computer science student. Really? No. So for long story short, I was struggling real bad to get the formatting on this to look good, and then I think I broke it entirely, which is really funny. Well, long story short though, so this is Eleanor's personal website. So she's got some work experience, some technical projects, and some leadership that we want to highlight within her project here. So that's a little bit more about her. She was made for our Global Hack Week portfolio presentation, and so I thought it would be fun to make her a resume. So she already has, a bunch of fake accomplishments, fake things that we know about her that we'll go ahead and generate. So let's go through and start off with, I'll stop sharing my screen for a second. We'll go through and start off with some bad resume examples and go through what we don't like about them. And that'll be pretty quick. So I'll start off pretty quickly. Mhm. So yeah, let's start off with this little resource here, where we can share our screen. And for those of you who are just joining, we're just getting started. So this is the 10 worst resumes of 2023. So let's start off and talk about this one. Um, First one, we've got bad speller. Uh, we've got severing instead of serving, right? Um, and then buffet is spelled weird. Um, those are just the access instead of excess. Is one of the first big ones here, right? So it's like bad spelling and grammar. So make sure to spell check. You got the graphic designer. Um, Issue with that. This is an unnecessary distracting graphic. These are necessary and distracting graphics. These are necessary and distracting graphics. These are I could see this one being just both unnecessary and distracting. You should talk about, especially keeping it cool. You can definitely remove a lot of this, mention it in a bullet list, or not necessarily mention MS Office in Italian if it's not relevant to the job. Pictures are geographically dependent. In the US, pictures are a no-no, and something you should definitely keep in mind. So definitely do not upload pictures on US-based resumes. Um, this depends more country to country. I know there's like some places that still like pictures on resumes. Personally, I would advise against it, especially if you're applying to a wide variety of positions. And then we've got the non-achiever. Um, this one is interesting because compared to the other two, it looks great, right? Um, However, it's um, the way that it's written, it's just not very strong. Tried to create positive rapport with customer, used software to log customer feedback. This lacks any sort of like concrete information about her job experience, handled incoming calls from customers, responsible for tests with upselling faster internet connection to customers. This is not doing a good job of explaining what they actually did. Um, which is not ideal. So, describing your work in vague terms. Action verbs um, and hard numbers, but hard numbers can sometimes be hard. So, develop a new sales strategy generating $4,700 in revenue versus responsible for increasing sales is a great example. Bad fonts. That's pretty makes sense. Best fonts for your resume. We'll click on this link here. Right, best fonts for your resume. Things like Arial, Lotto, Calibri, Helvetica, Trebuchet, Cambria, Georgia, Garamond, Times New Roman. Basic fonts that are generally helpful that comes standard on a resume. Um, Even just like that is an immediate help. And then let's go back to sharing my screen again. I keep doing the thing where I close out of my screen and then you can't see it. So let's go back here. Got this one. Just too many joking things. Which is the gamer. So no office experience yet, but I'm a hard worker and I have what it takes to get the job done. Great, but try and clarify some form of experience. Don't explain, you know, hobbies are great, dedication's great, but like write it out as you actually working at a Trader Joe's, write it out like it's serious. Um, you want to talk about leadership, you can word it better. Even um So that is generally a thing to keep in mind as well. Then up next, we've got the autobiographer. This is 3 pages of resume. For context, yep, this is a great rule. Fewer than 10 years of relevant work experience, 1 page. Over 10 years, a 2 page is acceptable. Aha, buzzwords resume. This is weird and unprofessional. Uh, this is this is strange and unprofessional. Um, just name it, uh, you can name it NFT like you can I mean blockchain pioneer may be fine, but not great. The way that this is written is not great. I don't know. I mean, under ROI, I guess I know what that is, return on investment, but like developed holistic solutions. What does it mean by holistic solution? To low sales by targeting underperforming. Reduce variable cost by strategically not paying overtime wages is awful. Don't say that. Train new employees to think innovatively and be hungry for success. Don't say that. Once again, you can talk about training employees effectively way better. Also, there's extra space in there. Pioneered a cutting edge sales strategy via the introduction of our weekly Tortilla Tuesday special. You could say pioneered Tortilla Tuesday, increasing blank percent in sales, have it be both funny and relatable, and recognized as a thought leader in the food and beverage industry, my ability to think outside the box. Recognized as a thought leader in the food and beverage industry by blank would be perfect. And then personally predicted the rise of machine learning vis-a-vis the metaverse. Nope, do not include that unless you can back it up. Provide personalized online lessons on blockchain technology and the data-driven event horizon is Web 3.0. Provide personalized online lessons on blockchain technology and Web 3.0 to blank customers. Great. Yeah. So don't include an inspirational quote, because that's a little strange. Okay, formatting disaster. Yeah, this is funky. This space is funky. This space is funky. This space is funky. The fonts don't match. Just not great. So, and yeah, you focus and the box doesn't line up here. You immediately see all the mistakes in the resume rather than seeing the actual positives of it. So that's not great. The exaggerator. Yeah, generally don't include your full mailing address. Once again, maybe a US thing, but don't include your full mailing address on your resume. Email is fine, phone number is fine. That's it. Location's fine, just in case you're looking to stay within the specific location, if you think that's relevant. Teaching assistant with 2 years of experience supporting young learners and multilingual language. Language genius, I don't like. Level 2 teaching assistant certificate. I speak German, I'm assuming. Speak Spanish and Swedish, right? I like this. This is cute, but it should go in something like additional skills. Teaching assistant, Ridgeview Elementary School, help manage students, 20 plus students in classes and field trips, right? This is working from home. This is good. A in education is good. And then French, Arabic, Spanish, Cantonese, German, Italian, Swahili, Swedish, Ukrainian, Dutch. Generally, don't put languages in your resume unless you can hold a professional conversation in them. That is the advice that I've been given. So unless you can hold a professional conversation with an employee in that language, don't put it. What that means by professional conversation with an employee, you can talk about business terminology, you can understand and fluently respond. So for example, like just to give an anecdotal example for myself, I put English on my resume because I'm speaking English to you right now. My English is perfectly fine. I use English in my day-to-day setting. I communicate in English well. I use Polish on my resume. While I don't use it as often, I do know how to communicate with it fluently. It is my first language, and I speak it frequently with family and can maintain a conversation on my own. And then I had, for a period of time, Spanish on my resume when I was using it more frequently, could maintain a proper conversation, and had a general good understanding of the language. Now I veer sometimes towards removing it, depending on kind of where I'm applying and where that experience needs to be. So that's kind of how I tend to think about it. Um, so yeah, any native German, Spanish, or Swedish speaking hiring manager would know the correct way to phrase what the candidate is trying to say is, I speak Spanish with fluidity. Yeah. So I didn't even notice that, but any basic, yeah, someone that understands uh, the language will mess that up, for example. And also, it's very difficult to have working proficiency in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 languages. I mean, if you could do it, awesome. I mean, I think my friend's working proficiency, the highest I can think of is four. And that's kids who grew up bilingual in the United States who picked up a language super early, or like high school-ish. And that's about it. The overshare. Vegan, thrill-seeking, single dad of two beautiful children aged 31 and 13. Nope. Looking to expand my horizons through full-time employment of a flexible schedule that accommodates my morning, mindfulness, and goal-setting routine. Nope. Could just be looking to expand my horizons through full-time employment with a flexible schedule. Born hustler and big believer in the transformation and power of meditation. Nope. Stay humble, proud dad. No. Once again, uh, address is a no. Birthday is a no. Don't put your birthday on your resume, no matter how old or how young you are. Definitely do not put your marital status on your resume. These are fine. Skills and hobbies are cool. But I there's certain hobbies that also should not go on resumes, and this is gonna sound kind of silly, but there are certain hobbies that should not go on resumes. I would say political debates are generally something that I would veer from putting away on a resume. But yeah, definitely include sensitive information as your nationality, date of birth, or marital status. Definitely do not do that. Um, so that is one of the first articles we looked at. Let's see if we can find any other bad examples and go through them for different reasons. Aha! There we go. We'll see this one here. Uh, this is a great example of a bad resume. Why is everything centered? Please push everything to the side. All of this could have been, honestly, all of these could have been pushed to the side, and this resume would have looked 1,000 times better. Too much white space here, too little white space in between a lot of these things. A lot of same font, for example, like the education isn't great. The hardware experience should be under software knowledge, or should be under like experience, something along those lines. This person has been working. So it looks like they might still be in call. No, they graduated. They graduated in 2009. Looks like they're probably looking for their first job after graduation, but it's hard for me to tell that because it doesn't say that anywhere. And also it doesn't say when they graduated college, which if you're applying for jobs where your entry level or internships, that's really important. Once again, I don't like addresses on resumes. Have an email instead. Phone number formatting's off. Things like that. Okay, margins are too small. Don't italicize your headlines. So your name should be that, and then don't use a larger font than 11 point. Makes sense? Too many colors. So margins look good. Good breathing room. So that's helpful. This one has too little space on the side. And then this is bad font, which we talked about earlier. Let's see here if we can find another bad resume. These are just not great at all. So, like this one is not not that. But generally, yeah, no bullet points, no flashy grizzly units, no first person. and no third person. So just posted as like that is great. Um, and then you are exactly in the right spot. We're hacking the perfect resume. My little resume. It's beautiful. Um, and then we have this one, which just no, not all caps, no swearing, no structure, no vagueness achievement. Uh, okay, yeah, no baby photos on the resume. I would say generally no photos on the resume, but once again, like I mentioned earlier, this is country dependence. Um, so, but in the US, I would not. Although I do like the way she does the headline here. Email, phone number, location, LinkedIn. I personally wouldn't put Skype anymore or Teams or anything like that or Zoom or whatever. I just leave it as email, phone number, location. Honestly, I probably just do email, location, LinkedIn, GitHub if I was her. But not everyone has a GitHub. She's a business developer manager, so that I think is good. No, we're not looking at that. Cinnamon world art, word art. Okay, interesting. Lauren, if some that place your things here. And then clumsy hands. Yeah, so the station and just different things that are written a little funky. So that's that. Let's go ahead and look at some bad tech resumes specifically. Your tech resume is garbage. No, that's a Medium article that's locked behind a paywall. Okay, common mistakes. Hard to scan, too much bolding, too flashy, 95% about the content, 5% about the style, inconsistent formatting, sloppy phrases, etc., so on, slang, or unprofessional sentences. So here is Rob. What stands out? Let's see. Ah, you are so fine. Welcome. We're talking about hacking the perfect resume. And so we're talking about crafting resumes. Right now we're looking at Rob's resume here. Let's see what stands out. Um, Formatting's wonky. This is hard to read. That's all off. That's different than that. Um, that is way too much stuff bolded. Technologies are off. Frameworks here are off. Um, Yeah, why is W forms bolded when the application is for a tech company where the work has nothing to do with taxes? Formatting is inconsistent. Font size are different. Alignment is off. So there we go. Some visualizing and so on. Phrasing, etc. Yeah, definitely. This is important. Don't use internal acronyms and jargon. Um, I did QA for N94 and E70. No one will know N94 and E70 are. People might know what QA is, but it also depends on the hiring manager. Ooh, will there be a chance to get my resume review? What will be covered in the last half hour? Great question. Time dependent. We're gonna make a resume for a fake character that we um worked on for some of my previous Global Hack Week streams. And I think if we have extra time, I should be able to review some resumes. I do ask though if you would like your resume reviewed. I'm just going to put this in the chat. Would like your resume reviewed. That you please remove all personally identifying information. So like first name, names, emails, addresses, and provide a generic slash blur out company names, school names, etc. Things like that. And that is only if time's permitting. So I'm not gonna say right now yes or no, but that is pretty much kind of what I'm thinking. Likely, yes, if there's time. Um, and then we'll talk about that, how it would be the best way to send over resumes. It'll likely be via email. Um, but yeah, don't not tailoring the resume for the position. Definitely don't use cliches. Don't be too verbose. No photos. No contact details. Social profiles. Spoken languages. Um, so people who are non-native English speakers usually keep their separate section that usually says languages, blah, blah. This doesn't add much value, so you're interviewing for a Hungarian company. Self-rating your skill level, don't do that. References available or requests for references are not helpful. Quotes are not helpful. Okay, so this is not great. Don't need your Skype, don't need your Dev2, don't need your Medium. LinkedIn, GitHub, email is good. Maybe not your Stack Overflow unless you're super active. I personally am anti-photos, but we've established the language is here. That's not helpful. The references here. That's not helpful. I see they added in the content. So Barcelona, Spain, hello at example.com, LinkedIn, GitHub. That's great. Non-clickable links. Make all the links clickable. Don't link to stale GitHub links or websites. There are a few more disappointing things than seeing your GitHub has not been touched for years, your pinned repos do not have readmes, or that your website was last updated 4 years ago. Like only if they're up to date, otherwise save the space and remove it. Leaving in the full link the URL, don't do that. Links thinning too much in color and style, keep them the same color and underline them. So same thing here, too much color and style with the links. So that's making it better. And then we've got that, and then actions to improve your resume. Do you have a photo? Remove it. No more than 4 social contact details and social links. Do you need to follow them? Do all the links work? Do all the links point to professional pages? Is your resume as easy to scan? Is it simple enough? Is it concise and to the point? Too bold? Too consistent? Internal company jargon? Spoken languages? Links stand out with different color formatting. So yeah, I think that is generally helpful advice. So let's go ahead and come up here for, so if I convert my Google Doc resume to a PDF, will the link still work? If you put it into something like Google Drive, it definitely should. But make sure you remove all of the, like I mentioned, remove all personally identifying information and provide generic names, school names, things like that. And then we'll go ahead and figure out how to do that. But if there's interest, we can definitely do it. Let's see here. I am gonna go ahead and open up my own resume right now. That is gonna be, yeah, I'm gonna open up my own resume. And the reason why we're gonna do this is we're gonna critique my own resume to start. I'm gonna go ahead and remove all the personally identifiable information real quick. Stuff like my phone number, things that generally, I don't want out there. So let's see here, right? So we'll do school. Let me actually make a copy of this guy real quick. So yeah, so let's do that, and then we'll do this as W resume. Would have done this earlier, but I've been very, very busy this week. Just came back from a hackathon, was in Boston, so you've got Kari from MLH. All right, we've got, we'll do phone number here. We'll remove that. We'll remove that real quick. we'll remove um, remove that. And then we'll do that real quick. And then we'll do test university. We'll do test XX, Bachelor of Computer Science and Science and Economics, GPA. We'll cross that out too. We'll do sure. And then coursework we'll keep. Technical skills we'll keep. We'll do tech company 1. We'll do next software engineering worked with. That, and then we'll leave LHS as. Then we'll do finance company. Locations too. AAA, B, AA, BB, CCCC, DD. And then we'll do test university, undergraduate teaching assistant. Then we'll do construction company. We'll do E and then F right there, right? Let's do a quick recompile. And then we'll do projects. We'll do that. We have that. We've got that, and then that needs to go. And then we've got more here. Got AAA, BB, and then we've got AAA, BB, Hacky, Hackathon. All right, let's see. I'm gonna do a quick glance through. Let's see whether things look good. Yep. Let's do a quick search for Vandy. Okay, let's go ahead and share my screen and go through my resume and what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So go ahead and shrink this guy so you can look at this fully blown up so y'all can see it. So this is Kari from MLH. This is my fake resume. Let's talk about what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So very clear. still in school, so education's pretty important. It's going up there, right? Go to blank university, I studied that. It's pretty clear. I'm in my bachelor's degree. Here's what I'm majoring in. Here's my minor. Here's my GPA. I don't like personally how this is all cramped on one page. So one of the things that I've been trying to mess around with is moving it around, right? We've got my graduation date, that's good. Relevant coursework looks good. Not keeping anything on here that it does not seem relevant. My math classes go in and out depending on the types of positions that I'm applying for. Technical skills, we've got all of my relevant ones in order that I kind of am familiar with them. So Swift is up top because I'm the most familiar with it. Angular, Firebase, C++, Python, Flask, Ionic. These are skills that I've not touched in a while, and now I feel a lot better with Kotlin, so I might go ahead and push those up and around a little bit. Then we've got this work experience here at Tech Company Line. Not revealing where I worked specifically. On this one, I had to blur out the most with. So I had a blank software, blanks engineering intern title, worked in a specific location where I worked on a bunch of features, enhancing automation capabilities on a bunch of different software. I would normally not advise to put like worked with all of these features. I'm just pretty much not allowed to say what they are, at least as publicly, but these are pretty well-known tools that I worked at. And then triage incoming bugs by analyzing logs, reproducing issues, and deriving resolvers, helping identify emerging trends. It would be helpful to potentially provide a number here of how many I would do. So let's actually add in a couple of things. Try and find more space in the education section for GPA. And then also I want to add in number of triaged. We'll do approximate number of triaged bugs. And then also we've got analyze the daily build test failures, working with self developers and stable and bug-free releases. I really like that one. I think it ensures it's daily, talks about how I did it. There's that. Then for MLH, I was a coach and a streamer, right? That's what I'm doing right now. That's why we're here. Awarded the Top 50 Hackers 2023 accolade for outstanding contributions to MLH Hackathon community. Very clear as to what I won and how I did it. And then led 8 through 10 hours of technical live streams monthly and application development using Swift and other primarily mobile technologies. Once again, pretty clear as to my contributions, pretty clear as to what I'm doing, and then support hackathons nationwide as a coach, focusing on teaching technical concepts, judging projects, and aiding event logistics, right? Pretty clear as to what my job at MLH entails. Good explanation of what it actually is, right? Then we have my previous internship from the summer before, where I worked at a finance company, where I was a blank application development intern. Actually, this was just full stack. So I implemented long functionality while limiting legacy service use in an advisor portal, which was an internal tool written in Angular and Java. And then I acquired technical leadership skills by leading team meetings, working with Agile, and developing features actively in production. And then finally, I led an intern project, so managed a team of 8 and developed a Spotify music compatibility platform in React and Flask, right? Pretty clear as to what I did. I led some meetings, I worked with Agiles, I developed some features which are now in production, helped launch this product and limit legacy use of a portal, thing in an advisor portal, and then led an intern project, which was specifically explained as to what it was and what technologies were used. This is my personal resume, so it likely won't be, but I will be posting, we will be making a resume for Eleanor, and that resume will become available, the little template for y'all to use. And then we have the Department of Computer Science at my university, where I was an undergraduate teaching assistant for this class. I had to update a bunch of the exam and homework rubrics after doing a good job effectively. And then I was the first TA for the course to actually lead office hours for 300 students. So I made sure to include that. Usually, like teaching assistant responsibilities, you just want to try and make sure you're making the most out of it and explain really what you're doing. And then I worked at a construction company as a software engineering intern. So I revamped company database for 30,000 construction sites, removed legacy software use, and automated some things for COVID-19 because this was in June 2020. And I worked there for 2 summers and a winter. So that's why it's that long. TAing I did for a full year and a half. So that's also why that's so long. Then we've got some projects. Studio V, SwiftUI's Firebase XC test, fully custom made event management system for a full women-led fitness and wellness group at test with 750 members. It's developed and deployed in a team of 4 following agile principles and maintained on the iOS App Store. Right? Great project to include on a resume. This one's going to stay on here for a while. We've got improving community neighborhood safety through open data collection. This was a research project on open source software, neighborhood data for lost pets and vehicles, right? I worked on the front end dashboard, created test data for demonstration, led some meetings with researchers. This project is one that I've kind of considered removing, and I actually think I have a better project to now put in its place. So this is a project that you can see is now a year and a half old, but it's also a project that does not really align with what I'm looking for. I'm mostly looking for mobile development roles, and this is yeah, we'll talk about that after break. But as I was saying, I'm mostly looking for mobile development roles, and this is not a mobile project, it's a web development project. That would be fine if I, A, did not have plenty of other projects to put in its place, and B, did not already have A, hackathon experience, and B, other web development projects in the form of my music compatibility platform. This is one of those where, depending on if it's a like full stack engineer role or a web development role, I might sub in, but if it's a mobile role, I might sub out. So remove SOBA and replace with a Firmo for mobile resumes. So there's that. And then we've got leadership and awards, right? I was a Grace Hopper Scholarship Coordinator and Open Source Day Mentor. So this was a big one, right? I talked about it as like what I did. This one I'm really proud of, so I made sure to focus on that. What I did within Open Source Day, what I did for the actual university, what I did for the actual organization that it's a part of. Then I also have some of my bigger accomplishments. So I won an all-expenses paid scholarship to attend the Society of Women Engineers in Los Angeles. So I included that. Thanks to this organization due to part of my work with them as well. So I included that as well. And then we have my former hackathon experience as an organizer, which I tend to leave on there as good leadership. So I've, been involved in that since January of 2021. So there's that. This is a great question. Do you suggest putting generic company names on a real resume? How do you show tangible proof of projects you've worked on for companies while staying within company guidelines? This is a fantastic question. Do not put generic company names on a real resume. You are more than welcome to put the real company name. The reason why I'm not doing that here is for like my own privacy, to be honest. Yes, it's easy to relatively figure out, like you go to my LinkedIn, you're going to figure out what company I worked for and what school I worked at, but or what school I go to. But there's a difference between that being available on LinkedIn for those who search it up and a difference between broadcasting that on Twitch. So generally speaking, I normally would use real company names. For staying within company guidelines, I would say each company operates differently. At the place that I worked at last summer, it was very clear that some projects are secret and some projects cannot be named publicly. And so it was very clear when I was making my resume that and this was discussed with me throughout the process, like I had a midpoint check-in with my recruiter, and she told me, remember when you're ready to begin applying for other opportunities, whether at this company or somewhere else, Before you do that, I need to see an updated version of your resume that you need to have approved by me and your manager. So with her, she was very clear, like, hey, just have someone take a look at it, make sure you're not saying anything you can't say. You can always ask someone at your, especially if you're there for an internship, you can always ask someone at the company to review. My personal favorite way to do it is to go to the job description, and this exact verbiage I pulled from the job description for my specific internship. I knew that that was A, going to be written way better than anything I could write. B, would keep me in the green zone when it came to any like technical issues that might face because it was already pre-approved. And C was relatively easy then to get approved by my manager and also by my recruiter. They actually provided me very helpful feedback to reword it, just make it sound a little better. But generally speaking, no, include real company names and as much company like data and information as you really can. So there's that. Let me take a swig of water. And then let's go ahead and try and make this resume for Eleanor. So we'll go ahead and use the same template. Yeah, of course. We'll go ahead and use the same template. No. Let me go ahead and use the same template. No, I don't want to track changes. I don't want to, how do I want that, please. There we go. Okay. So let's go into Eleanor's resume here, right? It'll be pretty chill. This will be Eleanor Swift. And we'll go ahead and keep all of her test emails and information and all of that the same. And now she attends Meadowbrook University. And then I'm going to ask ChatGPT, which is really funny. But this is help me come up with a random US town and state. Oakdale, Idaho. We'll go with that. So Meadowbrook University is in Oakdale, Idaho. And she is studying computer science, no economics. She has a GPA. What should her GPA be? Let's see here. Help me come up with a GPA from 2.8 to 4.0. Pick one randomly. 3.5. Good one. General rule of thumb that for GPAs that I like to stick with is if it's anything above a 3, put it on your resume. Unless it's because usually you'll see in the job description what GPAs are required from candidates. If it's like a new grad or internship posting, I've seen anything from a 2.8 to a 3.8 as a job requirement. 2.8 I've seen as like a very baseline at a wide variety of internships. 3.0 I've seen as a baseline. 3.2 I've seen as a baseline. 3.5 I've seen as a baseline. And 3.8 I've seen as a baseline. I would say 3.8 is very rare and is usually limited to quant and finance companies. 3.5 I think I've seen once, and it was at like a very, I think it was at like, I don't think it was even a big tech. I think it was at a finance company. And then most of the time I've seen 3.2 and 3.0. So generally I would say if you don't put your GPA on your resume, I'm going to assume you have a 3.0 or lower. So keep that in mind. She starts school in August 2022 and is graduating in May 2026. So that's the difference between her and me. Her coursework, she's a sophomore, so she's definitely not done all this. I'm not doing too well in my statistics class. It's okay. I wasn't either. I really wasn't. It's just remember one class does not define your like GPA for the rest of your life. I think I got a C plus in data structures. And we're here. So life turns out all right. So let's see here. ChatGPT, what are some courses that a second year, first semester computer science student would have already taken or be currently enrolled in? What do you think, chat? Introduction to data structures, algorithms, computer organizations, discrete mathematics, software engineering. This is a long list for a first year or second year. I don't think I was in most of these in my second year. So let's see here. Let's pick out some that are reasonable. Data structures, I definitely agree. She likely would be in it. Structures, she likely would be in it. Or have taken it. Discrete math, I agree, likely would have taken it or be in it. Let's see here. I would say like her introduction to programming class she would have taken, so we'll just call it Introduction to Programming in Java, because that's what ours is. And then I don't think she'll be in operating systems yet, probably not in databases yet. Object-oriented programming would likely be the class that comes after data structures, or sometimes is combined. Ours is called like intermediate software. She would likely be in computer organization and architecture. So we'll do computer architecture as her last class. So let's recompile here and see what that looks like. Right, so her organization there is a lot shorter, which is good. And then her technical skills. So we can go ahead and, for those of you who are wondering, this is an overleaf template on LaTeX, or overleaf template, which is built using LaTeX. Oh no, it does not like that. Okay, so small item. Can I do small item like that? Or coursework? Or is it gonna be frustrating because I've messed with this template so much that it does not know how to behave anymore? So you know what? We'll add in some classes that she's already taken. She's likely taken calculus if she's a computer science primary major. And then we'll do not statistics. Maybe linear algebra. She's likely taken linear algebra or will be in it soon. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, right? This is a reasonable list of classes that she's taken. Now for her technical skills, from what I've remembered, she mostly did, okay, so it looks like Python, JavaScript, and IoT, so, and HTML, CSS, and JS. So we have, it's both. So current classes and classes that she's already taken. Normally, I would say you can either put, like, depending on how space ends up working out, you can either put like current classes on one line and like completed classes on another, or you can do all of them on one line in like the same style. Personally, I would definitely include classes that you are taking, classes that you have taken, and if it just gets too long, start removing the stuff that's irrelevant. So, like for me, I'm computer science and economics double. When I was like in, I would say, the middle of my sophomore year, I kept some of my more technically related technically related economics classes. Now I have a specific economics resume where I list stuff that I've taken, like econometrics, strategic analysis, game theory, stuff like that, right? But for my technical resume, I skip the econ classes then. Okay, so she doesn't know all of this stuff. She knows JavaScript, we've established. She knows a little bit of Python, but not too much. She knows HTML and CSS. What else does she know? Let's see here, right? She did, so Mongo, DB, Express, React, and Node.js for a project that she worked on. And then we have Flutter as well on her resume, which we'll put last. She just used it for one project. So we'll actually put all of these further back too. So I like to line up technical skills not in order of how I know them from most to least, right? So for me, make a lot of mobile apps, Swift is up front. I don't make a lot of mobile apps, or like I just started learning Kotlin a couple months ago. It's like in the very back. Now, when I made this resume 2 months ago, so at the time I'd only taken Kotlin for about 2 weeks. Now it would probably likely move up ahead of Flutter, ahead of Java, most likely, probably at this point, touching C++ and Python. If I were to rewrite this resume today. And considering the other experience I'm about to build with Android, there's very likely a time that's going to end up right next to Angular. It'll be Swift and Kotlin. So there's that. And then we have technical skills, JavaScript, Python, Node.js, Flutter, HTML, CSS. I think that is it for her technical skills. That would make sense. And then there's that. So experience, we have Tech Company 1. So she worked at XYZ Tech Solutions. So we'll do XYZ Tech Solutions here. And she worked there from, we'll do June 2023 to August 2023. And so she was a software engineering intern? I do not remember. Yes, software development intern. Titles are important. They're not make or break, but they are important. Because they are a track of your employment. So don't make up titles. But there's that. Help me come up with a new random city and state and US state. So what is it? Carson City, Nevada. Sure. So we'll do Carson City NV, right? So just make sure you're using the correct acronyms too. That's very important. We'll recompile here. So Carson City, Nevada, and then within her experience, right now we have collaborating with a dynamic team of full-time engineers and developed a new sales tracking platform. So we've got this, right? So we'll do copy this bullet point over from the website. We wrote these out earlier. And then we'll do developed a new sales tracking platform with 50 active users daily. Right, so let's see here, and then we'll delete this third bullet point. And why does it look that weird? I don't like that. Please, what? I see. I gotta delete the whole thing, right? That's weird. I don't like that. Why is that like that? I don't know, honestly. And I don't have time to worry about the template. So we're just gonna ignore that. And we're gonna assume that it looks correct, which is kind of silly, but it is what it is. Maybe if I remove both of the items, does it just leave all that blank space? Yeah, it leaves some random blank space. So what if I just remove all three of these? Should mid-career people place coursework on their resume or leave it out? Say, for example, they're trying to switch to a different track within software development, but don't have work experience in that area, but took related classes in college. So I would say this depends on what mid-career you are and where you're trying to switch to. So I would say the more relevant your coursework is, the more helpful it is. So for example, if you took a master's degree a couple years ago with that coursework, then that is a lot more helpful, right? To mention that you took a course in, or even like a community ed course somewhere in databases. Say you're trying to switch to be a database manager or a database developer, right? Say you took a database development course at some place, then you can go ahead and include that on your resume, definitely. I've heard a couple of mixed thoughts. Number one, a lot of people say that sometimes when they include courses or graduation dates when they're mid-career, sometimes like there's a little bit of ageism related to that, just because it's, clear, oh, I graduated college in 97, or I graduated college in 2006, right? So there's that, and your courses could, for better or worse, really age you. the chances that you took a course in something that is still a prevalent technology today is much higher if you graduated in 2020 than if you graduated in 2000. So I would say depends on like how mid-level you really are. If you're mid-level, so it's just the text there. Um, so if you're mid-level in the sense that you're like 5 years out and you just finished school and or you're 5 years out, you never took any career breaks and you've been promoted to your first like mid-level senior position and now you want to transition, probably okay. If you're 15 years out, had a career break in the middle, already did a career swap, that could be something. But yeah, that's definitely something important, right? Like, I mean, it's a really funny example that at work this summer, I was taking an Intro to Objective C programming class that was initially taught at Stanford in 2008. Back then, that was cutting edge technology, and Stanford was at the forefront of teaching Objective C and teaching application based mobile development. Now that Objective C is mostly used to update very old applications, and its the use case is becoming significant and significantly more limited. I need it for my specific thing, but like if the class was called Intro to Mobile Development, might not age you. If the class was called Intro to Objective C, might age you. And like there's a lot of barriers to entry in technology, but certainly ageism is something that we are seeing more and more conversations about, which is a good thing. But also I've seen like from conversations that I've had at summits like Women Engineers, like Society of Women Engineers or Grace Hopper, we're seeing an increasing amount of people leave out their graduation dates for certain reasons if they've graduated more than 10 years ago. Or also leave out their first job or two that doesn't look as relevant. So Eleanor, my dear, what did you do? Okay, so developed a software solution to improve daily operations of the XYZ sales department. We'll do develop and deployed, right, to make sure that it's clear that she did that, right? So, and then we'll do something like collaborated with full-time engineers and designers creating a MERN application with 50 daily users. We'll go something along those lines, right? So this is something that she did. It's quantifiable. We'll do 6 full-time engineers and designers that she talked with and kind of did that. We forgot the and, which is important. Creating a MERN application with 50 daily users, right? That's a great one. Okay. She did not work in MLH, unfortunately. Not yet. Maybe one day. And then for her other work experience, she only really has web developer at the Tech Innovators Club. Personally, I would make the call of moving this into her extracurriculars because it is a club involvement. So instead, let's go ahead and here potentially put one of her part-time jobs. So help me come up with a part-time job that is relevant-ish to computer science that a sophomore in college could have realistically held for about 6 months. We'll do that. So, uh-huh. Technical support specialist. That's great. So we'll do uh maybe a different one. I want to see a different one. Web software testing QA intern. Uh can you go less technical even? I wanted to come up with like something that's more realistic, like yeah, tutor teaching assistant for computer science courses. So I think that is a helpful one. I don't think she'd necessarily be a tutor or teaching assistant at her school yet, with her being a sophomore. There's not a ton of sophomores that I would say. I mean, I started TAing when I was a sophomore, but it's not super common at my school. So we'll do tutor at local high school. We'll just make sure, we'll just say her high school's called local high school. And she started that she started college in August 2022. So let's say she started that in August 2023. Oh no, because it is August 2023 for her right now. So let's say she started it in January 2023 and has been doing it till today. And so we'll say local high school, and then we'll say computer science and math tutor. And since we're saying that it's at a local high school, we'll say that it is in Carson City. Oh no, not Carson City. That's not where she goes to school. It's in Oakdale, Idaho, right? So she, let's say, taught introductory computer science concepts to 30 students taking computer science A. So we'll do tutored, or I would say, maybe let's do solidified understanding. We don't want to say she was the main teacher because that's not true, but we do want to make sure that we actually quantify her work. Taking computer science A, and then also, let's say by holding weekly tutoring sessions. And so we'll do that, right? We'll let it recompile. There, great, there's that. And then we've got, in addition to that, she would say, created additional course materials for calculus 1 and computer science A courses by 2. So created additional materials for computers and to test student understanding. So we'll do supplemental. And we'll do alongside course instructors. So the reason why I'm doing it this way is kind of important, right? First off, we're trying to really make sure that we're like focusing on her ability to work with others. Second of all, we're also trying to focus on making sure that we're focusing on what she's technically doing and how she's achieving it. So the best resume template that I was ever told was actually by someone working at MLH, and it was accomplished X by doing Y as measured by Z. So let's take a look at this bullet point here, right? We've got solidified understanding of computer science concepts to 30 students taking computer science A by holding weekly computer tutoring sessions, right? So accomplished, understanding, solidifying understanding, accomplished X by holding weekly tutoring sessions as measured by the 30 students, right? So that's not necessarily following the exact same format, but it's doing a pretty good job of sticking to that, right? Accomplished X, what creating supplemental materials. Accomplished X by doing, right, alongside course instructors to what, as measured by what? Testing student understanding. So there's that. So now for her projects, she's got two. So like with this, right, we've got the thing where her resume is slightly shorter than mine, so we could increase the font, for example, and make it look a little bit less crowded. So that already helps fill up the space a lot better, right? So let's see here, local high school. And then she's only got two projects, same as earlier. So we'll go ahead and copy these. So this is the smart home automation system. So we'll do that. And then for that, it says pretty clearly what she used to build it. So that is Flutter, MongoDB, React, and Express, or no, Express and Node. So there's that. And then let's see, when would she have done this project realistically? It looks like it was a semester-long project. So she realistically did it from January 2023 to May 2023, right? And then, so she was full stack. Let's copy it, right? Worked in a team of that. Something along those lines is what we're looking for. So worked in a team of 3 engineers alongside and a project lead to design a smart home automation system, right? We'll do something like that. And then we'll do created the front and web and mobile dashboard for interacting with IoT components and back-end logic. So something like that would be a good help here. What is the error? Lonely item. Lonely item, what? That's silly. What do you mean lonely item? Oh, you know what I did? I probably deleted something. When I deleted the relevant work experience, so, well, no, we want 12.5, there you go. Okay, so let's see here, right? So, yes, resume project heading is what I resume sublist heading start, that's what I deleted, okay. So, we'll delete this guy. And that should be okay. So let's see if that compiles as needed. Da-da-da, da-da-da, there we go. So, yes, that is too wide indeed, but that does not matter for her because that is my stuff. So smart home automation system, which she built in Flutter, MongoDB, Express, Node.js, and that is pretty much it. So developed software used to interact with custom made smart home devices from we'll do develop and deployed to make sure that it sounds completed. Software used to interact with custom home made devices alongside a team of for other students. And then we'll say engineered the front end system in Flutter, responsible for the client experience. So say, let's see here, right? We've got something like designed and developed, or designed and engineered the front end web and mobile application in Flutter while adding functionality to interact with backend and IoT components. So there we go. And then we've got this, right? We've got her other project, which is her personal website. So here we'll do portfolio website. And we'll swap the order of these because this one she did earlier. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, when she did that just now. Did I spell JavaScript correctly? So that is November 2022. Is it really? No, I'm leaving, yeah, JavaScript. Okay, so November 2023 instead of November 2023 because she just made it. So we'll move this back up. Generally want to keep things in chronological order unless there's a need for you to not do it for some reason. So there's that. Here, so we'll say worked, or we'll say utilized, developed a personal portfolio website to best showcase personal or relevant experience in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Potentially because she's already got, I'm literally changing the bullets in the wrong section, am I not? Yeah, I am. So go back here. And then we'll do created personal portfolio website to best showcase relevant work and project experience in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then we'll also say that she deployed application using GitHub Pages and deployed application using GitHub Pages and were deployed application using GitHub Pages and connected to custom domain. We'll say she managed to do that. She'll do that tomorrow in this realm. So there's that. So that is her portfolio website. That's her smart home automation system. And then for her leadership and experience like that, we've got something like her hackathon experience. So like we mentioned earlier, she's a hackathon participant and organizer at Meadowbrook. So this would be something like hackathon organizer and participant. So we'll change that, right? Hackathon organizer. So this would be, yeah, let's say that they are a hackathon that takes place in the spring. So they recruited her in August 2023. and then that is at Meadow Hacks, which was what we're calling this hackathon, and so that is also in Oakdale, Idaho. I'm just noticing that this is a different font than this, and it bothers me how I swapped that around. So I might swap it so that the date is that and the location is that, which is funny, on my own resume later. But this is what activities like this are important for. So we learn things like this. So for her start item, here she um, did not necessarily create all of these opportunities. Uh, with this, we have responsible for all of her social media marketing, uh, and we'll add participant too. And we'll call this section, instead of her leadership and awards, we'll call it community and, if I can spell, and leadership. Something like that, right? To best encapsulate her experience. So she's responsible for all the social media. She participated in these 5 hackathons, right? And then she also could have did something else. Oh, we have a great question. Can we make our resume on Google Docs? The answer to that question is yes, but I'm going to provide some additional context. Number one, make sure that your resume exports well to a PDF and looks good in a PDF format. That's the most important thing. Number two, make sure that like the template you're using and all of that is ATS friendly. I found that Google Docs, at least when I tried to tweak the template and added in like some more white space or did something funky like that, it sometimes messed up some of my existing experience, like some of my existing stuff. Like when I would try to tap things over to the right or tap things over to the left, I'm not proficient enough in Google. I'm not proficient enough in Google Docs to be like, oh, I can tab half of this and untab half of that, for me to have really figured it out. So that is at the very least what I ended up doing there. So like that's what I would advise for something like that. Like just to make sure that if you are uh doing it, you know how to do it well. That's it. Let's add in her Tech Innovators Club experience, and then we'll add in her STEM outreach volunteering, and we should be done. So Tech Innovators Club, looks like she left that in May 2023. So we'll say that she with the development of club's official's website, yep, sure. And then also that she collaborated with fellow members to create engaging and interactive content. So something like that. We'll do that. With fellow members. With members and the executive board, web content, and we'll do that. And then she'll also have another relevant experience, which will be her STEM outreach. So we'll add that in. Something like, I don't know, we'll say that she did this back when she was in high school, but she doesn't really have anything super relevant to replace it with yet. General rule for those of you who are a little bit younger or who might just be entering college or who are in high school, most important rule of thumb is nothing older than 4 years stays on your resume. So if you're a senior in high school, anything from middle school at that point should be gone. Only keep stuff from freshman year. And things like that. You're a senior in college, same thing applies. Anything from high school should be gone. Replace it with things that are from your college years already. That's just generally how it should go. If you're 4 years out from your career, time to potentially start removing stuff from college. Hopefully you're staying on top of things and have interesting things to fill that space with. But generally that is the biggest advice that I've been given. So she starts school in August 2022. So let's say she quit this job in August 2022. And she did it, let's say her sophomore and junior year of high school, or her senior year of high school mostly. Or maybe she started in her sophomore year. Let's say August 2020. So I need you to come up with another fake city for me, please. Where she's originally from. Burlington, Vermont. How did she end up in Idaho? You know what? I'm not going to ask. So she's from Burlington, Vermont. Is the Vermont acronym is VN, right? I believe so. So we'll do volunteered at local schools to promote STEM education, right? So we'll do something like that, conducting coding workshops. We'll do 20 plus coding workshops for middle school students, for middle school classes, for middle school classes as an extracurricular program. So then she also, worked with after school staff and students to create engaging programming in Scratch, React, and Firebase. We'll go with that, right? Something that's okay-ish to do. And that is kind of the best place to start. So resume subheading. I'm missing resume help with subheading. List start, resume subheading. Resume subheading. Resume subheading list end should instead be down here. Let's see that. That looks good. Great. What to do if I have no work experience? This is, I would say, a tough one. It helps to begin gathering work experience by just generally working on something throughout your collegiate career. It does not have to be anything great, but I generally do advise working on some form of something, whether you pay things that I would put under work experience, even if they are unpaid, is if you have a manager. So if like you had an unpaid internship, or maybe you did unpaid research on campus, I would count those as work experience. Teaching assistant positions, becoming a tutor on campus, all of those are, I would say, relevant work experience. If you don't have relevant work experience, you can still put, I would say, irrelevant work experience. I would maybe just shift it around in order of your application order, right? If you have no relevant work experience, if the only work experience you have is being a barista, for example, I might put that later down on your resume just to show, hey, I have worked in the past. That would be generally helpful. I would say the older you get, the more important work experience is. If you're in high school, don't stress out too much about it. You can go ahead and have a resume more focused on volunteering, more focused on unpaid opportunities, and more focused on mentorship. Like I, on my high school resume, had a unpaid opportunity where I taught basic, where I effectively ran a summer camp in Spanish. And then I had that on my resume for quite a while until effectively it became irrelevant. So stuff like that is helpful. So I would say if you have nothing like that, it's a great time to get involved in volunteer opportunities where you'll have a manager. And that will be a great way to pick up work experience, especially if there's, issues to you getting actual tangible work experience. Like for me, um, I couldn't work in the US until I was 18. So I didn't have any work. I could not work, period. I didn't have any work until I was 18. So I made sure to take advantage of other opportunities in that regard. Um, can we write projects in the experience section? To me, I this is a hit or miss. And generally, like I would say projects where you have generally same as like the volunteer thing, right? Projects where you have a manager, yes. Personal projects, no. So what do I mean by that? Say it's a project where you're a part of a team in a research lab on campus and you're building a web application. That can go in your experience section. You are likely reporting to a PI. You might have like a PhD assistant who you directly work with. You're working with others. That can go definitely in your experience section. In my case, it doesn't. Why? Because I have way more relevant work experience and it makes more sense to fill up my project section as opposed to filling up my experience section with another experience there. But that one I would say, yes, definitely. Now, the gray line I would say of experience is if you have a project that you developed with friends and it has made money or something you work on consistently. So I would say you can put a project under experience section if it's a project that is deployed on, say, an app store and it makes you money. That's another good reason where I'd be like, yes, that's relevant experience. If it's a personal project that just you have worked on and it's not used frequently by lots of users, I wouldn't put it in experience. I'd create a separate project section for it. If it's a project for a club on campus, once again, also wouldn't put it. To give an example, like on my college campus, we have this organization that builds out projects for nonprofits. And while they have like technically a company that they don't work for the company, it's all free and all volunteer based, but they have they have engineering managers and they have product managers, but they're all other students. I would say that I have heard from employers is not a good thing to put in your projects in your experience section. Because you're not actively like reporting to someone that is like effectively a leader that has experience above you. Like, sure, it might be another student that was selected to be that leadership position, but it's kind of that weird line where it's like another undergraduate as opposed to like in a lab a PhD mentor that's likely getting paid for that work. So yeah, personal projects, no, I would say. Projects with friends, no, unless they're really big. Projects with like school clubs on campus, no, unless you work with someone directly and or are getting paid. Research opportunities, yes, even if you're not getting paid because you likely have a manager. Volunteer opportunities that are not through school, that are like, I'm making an app for blank, yes. That would be, I would say, my delineator for that. Okay, any other questions? I don't think we're gonna have time to do a full resume review of everyone, but we can do kind of what we're doing right now, where y'all drop questions about what you have on your resume, and I can go ahead and answer them. I just don't want to have, like, I don't want to have everyone send resumes and then not have time to get to all of them. So I think we'll just go ahead and stick with this question. Mm, let's see here. Yeah, you're very welcome. If I have very little technical experience, what can I do for the experience section? So, first off, if you have no technical work experience, uh, there is two like experience sections that you might be talking about. There is the work experience section and there's the project section. If you don't have enough projects, then do projects and take coursework online. Great, you're doing that. If you don't have official work experience that's technical, that is okay. What instead should go in your work experience section then is general work experience that you have. So things like retail, food service, something along those lines, or like even volunteering, tutoring, anything that shows a couple of things. You've held some form of steady-ish employment. You can interact with coworkers, you can show up on time, you can maintain a job, things like that. Unless there are other extenuating factors that make that not possible, like holding a job in retail or food service or something, which I've been in that boat before, in that case, start seeking alternative ways to show that you have work experience. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of unpaid internships. I'm really not. But if you're in a situation where you legally cannot get paid, they are a great way to build relevant work experience. Other great ways to do that is like volunteering at your local nonprofit or volunteering at a local organization, whether it's like an after school tutoring program, a local library, even religious organizations. Um, that would be generally helpful. Would be great places to do that. All right, next question. Would working in a club be an extracurricular or a work experience? This depends. First of all, I'm assuming this is like a school club, like you're working as a part of a school club and not working at like a club. Um, so there's that. But I would say the general rule that I like to apply is if it's at school, it's an extracurricular. If it's outside of school, it's a work experience, with the exception that like it 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 really depends. Like there's no hard and fast rule, but like I would say the first question that you ask yourself as to whether it's an extracurricular or work experience is it at school? If it's at school, it's most likely an extracurricular. If you're the leader of Girls Who Code, or if you're the leader of Hat Club, that is an extracurricular. If you're a peer tutor, I would say that would, like, if you're a peer tutor after school, 50-50, I might put it under work experience, especially if you're like looking for tutoring jobs or that's the best thing you have. If it's outside of school, ask yourself, would it be possible to get paid for doing this? That's the other question I have. So if you're a tutor, yes, plenty of tutors get paid. That's work experience. If you volunteer at your local library stacking books, that's a work experience. Plenty of people get paid for that. If you're doing gymnastics and you're the leader of a gymnastics team, extracurricular. Unless you're a coach, in which case you'd have significantly more responsibilities and significantly more things to do, you wouldn't get paid for being the captain of a gymnastics team. So that's kind of what I would use as the defining factor there. Like, is it school and would someone get paid for it? That's generally my defining ones. I was wondering if it's bad that I have a color theme to make my resume more pleasing to the eye. No more than one accent color would be my suggestion there. So for what I mean by that is, say you have like all of your primary like all of your like bullet points and all of your job experience needs to be black. That's a baseline. All of that needs to be highlighted in black. Now where it gets interesting is in like your headers and your links. Your links anywhere in your body should be black. I personally think it is okay to have a bold-ish contrast color in your header and in your like paragraph delineation, not bullet points, but like the things that separate your education, work experience, blah, blah, blah. Those. I, for a really long time, had navy blue for all of those headers, and I really liked it. I thought it was fun. And then I thought that was a general good benefit. Uh, ah, the text is all black, it's more background blocks. So I would say this. The first question to ask myself is how easy would this to be how easy is it to be read by a human and how easy it is to be read by a robot? So, we can hope that a human is reading our resume all the time, but at the end of the day, your resume should be ADS compliant. Stick it into an ATS parser, see if the background messes with it at all. Chances are it might. Especially if you have one of those resumes that has like a split down the middle where like you've got, skills and experience on one side and then all the other stuff on the other, and it's like 70-30. You know what I'm talking about? The ones with the column. Those sometimes ATS really does not like. So I'd stick with that. Same thing. Anything more than one background color, so alternating between background colors, not great. So I wouldn't do one side pink, one side blue. I wouldn't do one side orange, one side yellow. I think I'd do one side black and one side a very light, like one side white background and one side a very light blue background. Um, and I would say outside of that, like I can't think of any specific scenario that would be like, oh yes, they're definitely like this is definitely enough. If you have a little graphic in the top, you really don't need it. If you have a little like fun thing, like a little fun background, it's might be fine, but also like a parser might not like it. Um, and that's really annoying. Um, and so I wouldn't do that either. So I would say, uh, generally, that's what I would stick with. Um, in terms of that. Okay, next question. What is a good ATS checker? I have not found one yet that works perfectly, that like actually lets me do stuff. Usually Googling an ATS checker gets the job done. This is more of a personal anecdote, but when I went to Grace Hopper this year, I went and had um we had to upload a resume to the corporate database, and that specific upload system always reveals issues with people's resumes because it's incredibly difficult to like it has just an awful job at parsing these resumes. So like the gold standard of resume is, can you upload it to the Grace Hopper database and will it work? Uh, so especially if you're like a woman or a non-binary technologist and you're looking for like the gold standard, I'd highly recommend trying to upload your resume to the Grace Hopper database. I think Society of Women Engineers also uses the same database. I'm not sure about the conferences for identities I don't align with, like Afrotech or NESB or SHIP, but I do know for a fact that like they all tend to use the same systems, not gonna lie. So chances are if Grace Hopper and Sui use this broken system, Ship and Afrotech might too. So I try with that. Can you please share your LinkedIn with us? Hmm. Honestly, I probably won't drop it in the chat, just because it has a bunch of random work information on there. But you can find me. I'm easy, relatively to find. Um, but and if you find me, send me a follow. Said you found me from Global Hack Week, and I'll likely, at the very least, accept you follow. I'd accept a connection request if you say where you're from. But I don't keep my LinkedIn super private, but I am kind of starting to limit my connections because it's getting a little out there. All right. Any other questions? We've got about 10 minutes remaining fully. And we also, let me see what the schedule looks like if I've got to make room for someone else coming on. I'm pretty sure I did this time. Uh, Nah, I'm the last stream of the day. All right, cool. So if I'm the last stream of the day, we can stay on for a little bit longer if anyone has any questions. If not, we can go ahead and end it right about now. What kind of non-technical skills should be put on a resume? Should be directly stated or just seen in the resume through bullet points? This very much depends. So I would say this. Uh, I did a decent amount of recruitment for like student orgs, which is very different than recruitment for a job. But I do sometimes recruit for student orgs for technical positions. And one of the most important things to me that I need to see is how you function with a team and how you function with others. With both a direct person you report to, so a manager, and B, other people in the same position as you, and ideally other people in positions below you, which might not happen very often, especially if you're entry level. But in that regard, I think um, I think that generally speaking will um yeah, so I think generally speaking, like I want to see that you have worked with others. So if you've worked in a team, don't be ashamed to say, I've worked in a team before. Here's the team I worked on. Here's what that looked like. If you haven't worked in a team, then it might be time to do a group project, might be time to work with some other people on a personal project. Pick up that example that way. Should be directly stated or just seen in the resume through the bullet points. Um, I like to state some, like, I would say generally the non-technical the non-technical experience I've been most complimented on is agile and agile project management. Not necessarily a technical skill, but technical adjacent, and people generally companies tend to use it. It's a popular development method. So I would say that's something that you could definitely highlight on your resume. Same with like and everything that's entailed with agile methodology is generally helpful. I wouldn't highlight like directly stated like, oh, I'm a good communicator, I'm a great team leader, all that. Ideally, your experience speaks for itself. You're a good leader by doing all these awesome things for this awesome place. That's that. Eleanor's website was created in one of my previous sessions for building a good portfolio website. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in the GitHub link for Eleanor's website. And then for Eleanor's resume, what I'm going to do is once the stream ends today, so if you want to just start the resume, once the stream ends, or actually I can do it right now because we've got some time. But I'm going to upload that resume as a PDF to GitHub right here. So you can go ahead and access it. So we'll rename it Eleanor's resume. And that's that. So you can go ahead and access Eleanor's resume. Let me just make sure this is Eleanor's resume and not mine. Yes, it is. Great. So things like that. So you can now find Eleanor's resume and Eleanor's website directly on this link. So there's that. This isn't a resume question per se, but what do you think the best way is to get interviews? Connections. So through referrals, through conferences, through career fairs, through anything along those lines, that gets your foot in the door. After that, it's all about what you know and how you know it. But that gets your foot in the door. That's really important. There's tons of different ways to create good connections. Becoming involved in communities is a great one. Hackathon communities are fantastic at building your network. General technology communities on campus, your local career fair, your local companies, anything like that is a great start. That would be my number one suggestion. I've gotten interviews from everything from cold applying with no referrals to applying directly with a referral to receiving an opportunity at a career fair and at a conference and things like that. So that is, I think, the best hopeful. Oh, how to land a role as an academic representative in a club. The thing that I look the most for, at least in when I recruit, is how active people are in the community already and how engaged they are about it. So, for example, I used to do recruiting for the Vanderbilt Hackathon. And in the Vanderbilt Hackathon, one of the main things that I used to do, right, is that I would we host our hackathon in the fall and recruit for new organizers in the spring. One of the first things I would look at is whether an organizer had attended our event the year prior. If they'd attended our event, chances are that we're at least somewhat passionate or at least interested in the hackathon community, and we're not just looking to receive a leadership position, which sometimes is like the downside of things. So I really like looking at people that are involved and engaged in technology things, staying up to date on latest trends, things that they like, um, and generally are interesting individuals that also have passions and skills in the role that I happen to be needing to fill. So I really like that aspect of it. At least that's my main advice, is just to stay involved and active in the community, even if you don't have a leadership position, and then go like taking the most making the most of it, because people do graduate and leave and study abroad, especially if you're in college and something like that. So the earlier you get involved, the better chances you have of filling that position for a better and for be longer. So I recommend that. And then what is the easiest, most valuable skill to pick up that is good for the technical field? I wouldn't say there's any really one skill now for all of tech that you need. Um, outside of like that that is both easy and valuable. Um, for your job, it really depends. For the pre part of your job, learning how to handle a technical interview well is going to take you a long time. Um, generally, so I would not advise like learning how to do a technical interview well and technical interview prep is not everything, but it will go a long way if you figure out how to do it well. So I recommend that for most valuable for your job. Um, just whatever is in the job description. That's it. Like you're looking to be a mobile engineer, you better have mobile experience on your resume. You're looking to be a backend engineer, you better have backend experience on your resume. You're looking to be a front end engineer, I wanted to see front end experience on your resume. You're looking to be a data analyst, data science, things like that. So look at the job description. That's the most valuable. Um, tech is so broad at this point that there's really not anything specific. Easiest, learn how to work with people, learn how to take criticism, constructive criticism, and feedback, and not only take it, but improve from it. Um, I would say that's both easy, like that's easy to learn, hard to master type of thing. But generally, um, any position you're going to be in the workforce, there is going to be someone above you, unless you end up being the CEO of the company, in which case you're still reporting to the board of directors, which means that there will be people who criticize your decisions. And you need to be able to learn how to deal with criticism in a way that is constructive for everyone. So that's the one I would recommend. Just generally, learn how to work with people, learn how to take feedback and criticism without taking it personally. And that sounds way easier than it is, but I think it's the one that like you have the most tangible impact on. Valuable, definitely that. Resume. Yeah, learn how to write a good resume. Learn how to write good. learn how to write good resume. Learn how to write cover letters. Learn when to write cover letters. Learn when to not write cover letters because they're a waste of your time. Um, learn how to uh, talk about yourself in a way that is positive but not braggish. Learn how to work with others, above, below, next to you, and that is generally helpful. I would say. Resume checker link. I just Google ATS resume checker and pop your resume in there and see what it spits out. If you're looking for the Grace Hopper one, I just look at the Grace Hopper resume database. Okay, one last call for questions. Going once, going twice. Last one. What experience is good for a data science field? I would say generally any form of data science or data analyst project that you can get your hands on is super helpful. Working with libraries and large data sets, Python, R, any of the data science languages are really helpful on that regard. Working with engineers also is really important, not just software engineers too, but a lot of times when you're dealing with data science, you're dealing with other engineering fields, finance, and there's that. So there we go. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. Um, get some water, get some rest. I hope y'all. No. I'll have it. A lot of technical writing positions need a degree in communication. Is there a way I can get around that? I have an electrical engineering degree. Yeah, I think that the best way to get around that is to first off, like pick up relevant experience in a communication space. Um, Potentially even like consider doing technical communication about something relevant in your life, whether you're blogging on Medium or just maintaining like a technical portfolio. I think that can be incredibly helpful. If you have an electrical engineering degree, I personally don't really see that as a barrier. Sometimes job postings will require a degree in communications, but then not actually require a degree in communications. So I would say um, whether you can like maybe attend some classes at the local community college or generally just pick up more experience along the way, that would be really helpful to kind of push back against your electrical background, but also you have a very technical background, and that's an overall positive. So I would say that definitely take advantage of that. So whenever you talk about interviews, whether it's like your transition from electrical engineering into a more technical space or anything along those lines. And yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. Now we're going to go ahead and end the stream. We're already over time. Oh my goodness, love it. But thank you all very much for coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you at our next Global Hack Week. Bye, everybody.